Cool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host. My name is Q. We have a special guest in the building. You may notice this guest is wearing a shirt that talks about the coziness, and you can find a video on Instagram, might be somewhere else, where he's asking people, "How do you stay cozy?" And that's why I'm wearing a sweater. It's cold, by the way, but I'm comfy and cozy in my sweater. Guest, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, my name is Wesley Rice. I guess as everybody has coined me as now as Mr. Cozy or Cozy as everybody has said, but I am a brand owner, a friend. I wear many hats, but today we're talking about my brand, I guess.
Mr. Cozy. So where are you originally from, Mr. Cozy?
Well, I'm from the good old Baltimore, Maryland, otherwise known as what's it called? B-more. It's a good place over there. It's nice.
You sure? Or are
Yeah.
you being sarcastic?
A little bit of sarcasm. It's okay every now and then.
Okay, so what was life like growing up in Baltimore?
Um, it was kind of okay. It was more so just like learning to get used to stuff and just essentially just going as things is. Sometimes it's a little rough, sometimes it's a little easy. It's not that bad though. Everybody makes it out to seem like this horrible thing with struggles and hard stuff. Nah, it's pretty chill.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And what type of kid were you growing up? Outside, sports, inside, academic, stuff like that.
My friends have this special term they coined for me. They said I'm an introverted extrovert, meaning I was the type that played sports but was also into very weird stuff like, anime, that sort of thing. And they said I had very unique niche interests, but at sometimes I can kind of just shut down and just vibe out.
Gotcha. Now, for the people, now I don't know you that well, and there may be a couple people who's watching for the first time and may not know you. So what are some of these niche interests that you have or
Well,
had?
other than anime, I got really into photography, like really into it, like old retro photography, clothing design, like brand design, stuff like that. And even like old school video games like arcade and stuff was like really my biggest thing growing up. In addition to like old, like my favorite era of the NBA is like the '90s era, just from the playing cards and stuff like that. Plus older stuff like Pokemon cards and skateboarding stuff like that.
Okay, so do you collect basketball cards by chance?
Oh yeah, I got like 1,000 like in a binder in my basement.
Oh man, I want to go get my binder because I used to. I don't think I've had anybody on the show who's collected cards of any type. If they did, I don't know. But yeah, basketball card collecting was a thing of mine back when I was like a kid. Recently, like I'll go to Target every now and then,
Pick
and
up like a pack.
yeah,
Nice.
so I'm slowly getting back into it. But dude, I used to like I was a fiend for cards.
I remember my dad, he came to visit me like for the very first time. He brought me like oh, I collect comic books too. So
Okay.
he brought me all the old vintage action comics and like a whole stack of like baseball cards. I still have like majority of the action comics, but like the baseball cards are still like in the tin and everything today. They're like old Sonics card, like the old Seattle Sonics. I forget who was on the lineup. I think I have like two Gary Paytons.
Wow.
One is damaged, one is like okay, and I have like a couple like really old cards. I gotta find them. Like mine are
Maybe
stuck there.
might be worth some money. Who knows?
Never know.
Yeah. Do you remember? I don't know. Do you remember your first basketball card or your first pack? What was in
Um,
there?
Not too vividly, because it's more so he gave me like a whole slew of like cards just in general, like football, baseball, basketball. But basketball was my favorite. I remember it was a Timberwolves player. It was like an old school Timberwolves player.
Hmm.
I can't remember who, but it was just like it was a very old, like old, old.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother guessing. Um, yeah, my knowledge of Timberwolves players probably the extent probably goes back to the '90s and stops there. So,
It was like the '80s.
oh
That's
yeah,
how old
yeah.
it was. Yeah.
I would not know any Timberwolves players from the '80s. So, okay, that's pretty neat. And when it comes to the comic books, because I don't have too many friends. I have one friend, my one homie who's into comic books, but we don't speak about it too much because I'm not. So, if you could put me on some game before we get into all the
The
clothing
nitty and the
line and
gritty about
everything,
that. It's like a lot. You've really never like read comic books before? Like,
I've read comic books, but just like, a couple pages. I never got into it.
So you're based out of Pittsburgh, right?
Yes, sir.
There's a shop near in Philadelphia, I believe. I think it's called. It's like an old school comic shop. That's where I get most of my pop figurines if I either go through like New York or come through Pittsburgh. But there's a shop where they sell like all vintage comics. The very first comic I ever picked up was actually an old school Archie Sonic comic, and then that's I guess where my love started. Majority of my reading is just ranges. It goes from DC to Marvel to Dark Horse. Like one of my favorite comic series is getting adapted on Amazon right now. It's called actually, I'm not going to mention that because this might get aired on podcast, so never mind. But it's an old school. It's by Robert Kirkman, and I think you can figure out who it is. It's a guy that wears like blue and like yellow. You'll figure it out. But other than that, just realistically, if you want to start, just start with the Amazing Spider-Man, not the new one, but like the older one, because the new one it's not good. I don't like the writers. How they kind of written him into a corner is so annoying.
Interesting. Hold on. Well, let me know, how did they write him into a corner? This is good.
So they rebooted the franchise, and when they rebooted it, they essentially cut off Mary Jane from being his love interest, and she ends up dating this other guy. But the other guy she met in another dimension, and essentially after about 2 days, she fell in love with him and had kids with him. Then after that, literally 3 comic issues later, they wrote him out of the continuity because of fan outrage. Funny story. 2 weeks ago, and I never have told anyone this story. This is the first time I've ever told anyone. So everyone asked me, why did I stay in for 2 days or like a week or like a day? What was I doing other than just my schoolwork? So I actually took the time to write 5 letters to Marvel Comics to get this guy gone. That is how much I hated that comics. Literally, Chat GPT the first, wrote the other one with pain in my heart. And the other 3, I had my friends help me write it. They're like, who are you sending this to? Marvel Comics. I hate him. Get him gone.
Wow.
Bro, it was... When you read the issue, you'll understand why it's that bad. Because they shoehorned him into the story, and Peter essentially was about to get married, and he ruined that. It was very annoying.
Interesting. Okay. I'm learning a lot today, and that's what I like. So for an entry level, comic book reader, which I'm about to turn into, because I think there's a place in our local mall. Malls are dead, but I think there's a place in my local mall that has a comic book shop as well. So
wait, do you collect pop figures? You got to get into that too, man. It's a going.
I wouldn't say
market.
I collect them.
I
have a
Star Wars one.
Yeah, I have a couple Star Wars ones, but I don't collect them. I have just a couple sitting on my little desk here.
Wait, you like Star Wars?
Yeah, they
got comics on those too, though.
So, I am how would you say for Star Wars? I am a casual fan.
Oh,
yeah.
I am the opposite. I am a diehard fan.
I wish my homie was interviewing you, because y'all could probably like
nerd out.
Yeah, on some comic book stuff.
All I'm gonna say is, long live Commander Cody. He deserved better. I don't care.
Long live Commander Cody. I'll find out who he is later.
Yeah, he was the commander in the Clone Wars. He was one of my favorite characters. I'm a fan. Got a helmet in my bedroom and everything. He's
man, yeah. You're the real deal. Wes is the real deal, y'all. So okay, thank you for the education, and I will. I can afford a comic book. I'm not that broke, so I'll try to go ahead and look for one of the a Spider-Man comic book before this.
If you want to haul, they're also on like an eBay for like $50. You get like 30 of them.
Oh wow, yeah, that's not bad at all. Cool. Learn something new. Thank you, sir. So, you just let us know about some of your interests as coming up as a youngin. Now, what were you doing creatively as a young person that kind of brought you into the era you're in today?
Weirdly enough, I had like the one thing my friends will always say, that I am a sort of, not so much a savant, but I'm like a jack of all trades. Like I would be doing I do 6 different things right now, but one of the things that I loved the most was photography and art. I weirdly enough, when I was younger, I was really into like little clay sculptures and like painting stuff. But it's not that I wasn't bad at it. It's just I never really picked up on it, because when I was in grade school, my art teacher was very, very not to say racist, but negative. Like she always would praise our like whiter students and stuff. So I never really got into it like that. But when I got to high school, I really took off with like just sports and just like actually lifting weights in general. But part of me always wanted to create, and it was always this weird portion of me that like knew how to dress, but at the same time never wanted to experiment. Then push comes to shove. I meet some good friends, and I met a really good friend of mine that actually helped me to expand my what I wear and what happened. She actually put me onto some really cool like art pieces and stuff. And then on top of that, because of her, she's probably has an Akira addiction. But on top of that, I've learned a lot, and as a result, I've kind of got into the whole clothing game essentially just to learn more about it. A lot of my friends they dress well. Some of them are really like fashion icons. Like my friend Nigel, he literally puts on clothes like nobody's business. So I kind of started this, and in a result, I wanted to make a clothing company that everybody can wear and feel comfortable wearing.
All right. So, all right, let's take this piece by piece. So, photography. Um, Now, how far did you get into photography?
When I was a senior in like high school, I tried doing it for our local, not local paper, but our local school paper, and I got pretty good at it. But I never really. It was kind of one of those things. I got books on. They just sat there catching dust, and then college happened, and here we are. But I picked it back up, and I started doing it again because photography costs money, like a lot of money. And I love hiring my friends, but I kind of wanted to learn my own stuff because I already was a little experienced at it. And more so, what I did was I picked it up and I got a okay, ma. But anyways, I got a new camera and I was working on it and I took some pictures mainly for my university and I took it for their media day for their basketball team. So the next shoot I think I should be doing is for a school, and then after that I should be working for my school again, like taking pictures for their media day as well.
That's pretty dope. Now, um, do you have a specific style outside of the things that you may shoot for your school? Is there like a specific subject or style of shooting that you prefer?
There's two mainly landscaping and editorial, like portrait style. I'm not the biggest, like my friends, they have very abstract styles. Like I have a friend that does cinematic style. I'm pretty sure you know who that guy is.
I
But
think so.
I have another friend that does it in a very abstract style with colors and hues. That's her type of style. But my style is more so kind of by the books. I don't mind doing my unique style is still developing because there's a 3D type of style I want to get, like a camera I want to get. But more so often, it's more like a formal editorial style. Like I think I even have a couple pictures that I can show you.
Absolutely.
Let me find it, but it's more so formalized portrait. It's like nice stuff like that because I have a style like in that style that's unique, but I myself like to do things by the book. So I do stuff like this.
Okay. I like that.
Cool, cool.
It reminds me of like a rookie basketball player's card.
Yes, that
Something like that.
ironically that's what the look I was going for because my friend number 22 he actually plays for the team, and another friend of mine when because I'm having him do a walkthrough in some of my clothes. I believe it's when they play either LSU or Morgan. I'm gonna actually take his shots.
Oh, dope. Dope. Okay. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, when it comes to um the painting, did you say painting and sculptures?
Yeah, I did like little clay sculptures like for like a small section.
Okay. Now, how far is that something that you still do? You seem pretty busy. I'm gonna tell you the truth, but especially if you're in school, naturally.
Oh yeah, my schedule's right back there. It's looking like it's my last year, but it's a lot of work.
Well, I already know, and you know the work's gonna pay off. But yeah, hopefully, things free up. But geez, okay. The sculpturing now. Why, what? How did you get into that? Because that's something specific.
I mean, so when I think it was like grade school, I actually like made my own like letter, and then another time I actually made a paper mache style, and it got put in like not so much an art museum, but it got put in. So Baltimore City Schools has a headquarters called North Avenue, and often they do this thing where you can actually do a raffle where your actual artwork gets put in there, and my artwork got in there. And then on top of that, after that, I ended up drawing for something called the Preakness Day, and it got put in an actual art museum. Like I drew a lot. I did a lot of that. But when I kind of switched schools and I went to like this other school, my art teacher was very discouraging. Like she literally would try to fail me just for doing what I liked. So I never really got to pick it back up after grade school. And it was always one of those things I wanted to pick up again. But to find time in that, I think I'm going to try it this spring when I have some time.
Understood. I would like to publicly diss. We're not going to say her name. I don't know his or her name, but I would just like to publicly shame your old art teacher. Um,
Hey, she literally said out of our group, like our 5 group of friends, she said, y'all ain't going to make it. I don't know what to say.
well, as everybody is watching knows, we practice forgiveness, but this is the Cool Hand Podcast. Forget that teacher. I forget whatever she's doing. I don't have anything else to say except forget her. We don't like you. He does. He forgave you. I
I'm a
didn't.
forgiving person. Hey, hopefully.
Yeah, he had time to heal and forgive her. I'm just learning about this, so I gotta work. I'm gonna work on that, but I don't like you right now. So anyway, yeah. Don't come on now. In school though, you know what I mean? Discouraging kids.
I mean, literally, that's the Baltimore City Public That's just how it was. I mean, funny thing was, she was a white teacher, and she did not like the colored folk. She was not a fan.
Yeah, we got to work that up. We got to get her. We got to retire her. We got to figure that out. But all right, enough of that. So eventually, we get to where you have your own brand. Now, you gave us a little bit of detail on your friends and a little bit of inspiration on getting you to the point to where you wanted to create clothing. So you mentioned somebody named Nigel. Was there anyone else who kind of inspired you to create your own clothing line?
Well, yeah, there was a friend of mine. So, funny enough, I can actually give the backstory on where this whole cozy thing came from.
Sure.
Weirdly enough, it wasn't an overnight thing. It took a lot of designing effort, and I even had to outsource it to have somebody create it for me. And then they came back. I didn't like it, and I've remade it. But I had a friend a while back. Like his name was Myron, and we used to like give him clothes and stuff until he passed. Sadly, so after he passed, I decided, hey, maybe we should make some clothes where everybody can feel warm and cozy. It's not something you got to always give away, but it's something that where everybody can feel comfortable wearing it. So our motto has always been wear clothes that make you feel like royalty, but we also added the standard at probably for 2024. What I want to do is actually not only have my own pop-up shop, but at least for that pop-up shop to make enough money to give back to either a school or foundation, something like that.
Very generous, very very nice. So we have to stay.
There is one more person that I would like to say that also inspired me. I have a very good friend. Her name's Tessa. She always is a really good creative director. My friends Tay, Sean. There's also like a whole bunch of other people. Also, my friend Adarius. It's really good people.
A lot of shout out to all of you guys, because it takes a village sometimes to make one thing happen. So shout out to the folks. And how did you end up coming up with the name? Because we've been talking about the cozy, and I apologize for not mentioning this a little bit earlier, but you can search him up on Instagram. It's Don Dada Apparel. So where did the name Don Dada come from?
Okay, so one of my favorite movies ever is Paid in Full. We're going to leave it there because, it's a family-friendly show, so we're going to leave it there. But one of the lines from one of the characters says, I ain't got no money, baby, I'm broke. And I always loved that. And literally while I was watching, I was like, this guy's like a Don. And I was just like, da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, that's actually not a bad name. So that's kind of how it came to be. But I essentially always wanted to make everybody feel like royalty wearing my clothing, regardless of what it is. Oh, one more person to shout out. My boy CeeLo. Love you lots, buddy.
Shout out to CeeLo. So, okay, Don Dada Apparel came from a movie that I'm not going to repeat, but but I believe, it gives some history on some of the things that happened in, I believe, was it the 80s and early 90s? Some things that might have went down in Harlem, and they had some connections to the people in the DMV area. It's practically history, right? So it's U.S. history. Okay, so okay, Don Dada Apparel. And when it comes to the actual creation of the clothes, so what year did you start working on this?
So this project was stop, start, but it originally started roughly 2018. I had a
Okay.
friend that wanted to do it with me, but she had her own interests, so I couldn't really get into that. Then I took a break. I did my college admissions, got into every place I wanted, and I was like, I have this thing I want to do, and it's still stuck in my notes. So I picked it back up in 2019. I started selling bonnets. I started selling durags. It picked up a little bit off the ground. Then it went back in hiatus because college be colleging. So then I figured out what can I do? How can I get money? And essentially, I'm doing like 5 different things. I'm like, what can I do to make some money? And well, other than one of the things I do is I worked with a school, and the kids were like, "This is a nice hoodie, but I don't really like it." And I was like, "I could make a hoodie better." So I came back, 2019, 2018, something like that. I made customs, like a custom version, like a sample, and I got into it. I made the hoodie. I released it, and it took a while to get it going because I mean, one thing that's funny that most of my friends say is like a lot of the time it does take a village to raise like a whole brand, but a majority of this has been just a lot of if I want to do it, I got to do it. Because a lot of people they have the drive to do it, but hey, I got my own mental health and stuff in school. Ooh, it's a lot.
Right. Okay. So here we go. So how did so you have this idea, 2018, it sparked. When or what went into finding, because I don't have a shirt, he these stay cozy. This stuff,
Oh,
it
don't worry.
sells.
I got a gift for you at the end of this podcast. I'm gonna ship it to you. You just gotta text me all the stuff.
Oh
It's a hoodie
man.
in your size because I found it. I was kind of looking through my stock. I still got like 2 left.
Yeah, I feel special. I was gonna say, his stuff sells quick. So when I went to go get an XL, I'm like, oh man, they're out of XL. So you got to get it while it's here. Get it while it's hot. But when it comes to like the shirts, the hoodies, now did the hoodies release first? Was that the first official Don Dada Apparel piece that you guys released?
Actually, the first actual piece was like a whole bunch of durags, but I printed our like logo on it. But our first
Yeah.
actual like taking time to actually like make sure everything was working was the hoodies. The thing was that was mainly our own thing for like the longest until I thought, let me do shirts. And then the actual launches I'm doing this spring and summer, along with some beanies and socks in them, like a release later. But the spring and summer, though, I think you guys are gonna like those a lot. Plus, an extra fall drop I'm gonna do before I restock all the colors.
All right.
But
This is
I'm only
this
doing
is
restocks once though. Ooh, those hoodies take a minute to
it's
make.
a lot of work, if you haven't figured it out. Now, something that goes into that work, because
Oh,
just
wait,
go
one
ahead.
more shout out. I gotta do one more shout out. And shout out to Larissa too. There we go. There you go.
Big hearts for Larissa. I only got one.
All right, that's but continue.
So, um, something that goes into creating a brand is, making something that you're satisfied with selling to others. So the shirt, I'm looking at your shirt. I like the neckline. It looks like it's nice and fitted, has a good fit to it. You look at the hoodies. The hoodies look like they have a nice cut and everything, to where it can. What's the word that I'm looking for? It looks nice on the body. So what was that process like? The trial and error in creating a fit that you wanted to sell to people.
You want to hear the honest opinion, or you want to hear the thing I tell everybody?
I
Both.
want to hear the honest opinion.
Okay, so for starters, whew, this took too much time. I thought low key slapping stuff on a shirt is easy. I thought this was the easiest thing known to man. I was wrong. I was
Mm,
so wrong. So the hoodies, surprisingly, the hoodies were the easier part. This was the hard part. So
mm.
for the hoodies, what I had to do was the first I had to get a blank, like a blank, completely blank hoodie. I had to buy it and size it up to myself, and I had to figure out what type of effect did I want to do. Did I want to do oversized? Did I want to do compact? Those are the two things at first. Then on top of that, I had to make sure that the hoodie fit correct to size. Now the problem with that is that if you make it big enough, it'll work, but there's also the problem of it being too big. So that was the first problem with the first batch of hoodies that I made. Or actually the second set. The first batch was fine, but it was too tight. It was like a little not too tight, but it's like it fits the same size as like a sweater. It was nice, it was comfy, it was warm, everybody liked it. But everybody was like, can we get oversized? And I was like, oh, that's great. So oversized was next. After that, I put an order in, but the problem was I messed up on the sizes and they were like a little bigger, but they still came out really nice. But the problem is, whew, the first sample, it came out good, but it didn't have words on the front. The second sample came out nice, but it didn't have puff printing on the back. And then the third sample had all three. You want to know how long it took to actually make all of that? I want you to guess.
I want to say 5 months.
Close. 7.
Jeez.
Because it took time to actually, the first real success was the brown. Everybody loves brown. And then next season, I'm going to do, every now that I know the process, I can do the green and black. But I also got some new colors like pink. Like I want to do a breast cancer, and a nice white, or like an orange for autism. Like they have like different foundations and stuff. But the harder part was making these. So, well, my friend Vincent, he gave me a heat press. He paid me I paid him for like a really small fee to do it. And then pressing these things was the hardest part because not only did I have to make it work, but I had to make sure they stick because there's a possibility I had to proof it. I had to get a cry cut and actually like iron over it. And not only that, my basement does have heat, but this is all going down like while the summer is ending. So it's like 90 degrees. I'm doing this without a shirt. I'm just like,
yeah.
But the final product came out kind of nice. It sold fairly well, but it didn't sell out as fast as I thought it would. But in the meantime, the ad for it came out beautiful. I had a great time. Whew. These things took like 4 weeks to make just on my own.
Jeez. Yeah. Let's explore. Let's go down that journey as well. Because financially, every business takes money, and you're likely going to lose money as well, especially when you're starting out. So let's talk about like the costs because and you don't have to be too specific, but when I look at a hoodie, you can find a hoodie for like, at minimum $20 in a retail store to, the higher end ones, which are, in the hundreds of dollars. So when I look at hoodies for an independent brand like yourself, I'm like, man, how much did that cost just to, just to make?
Oh,
it?
I can let you know the secret. Mm-hmm. First I was going to be like, I can do this myself. And then I lied to myself and said, no, I can't. Because one thing to notice that I attempted to do bubble lettering, but man, I can't do that. Mainly simply from the fact that in a hot room with all them fumes going, trying to cook it up is a lot. Because the cry cut, it gets really hot. It takes a while. And then making the actual design online, it's too much. So to give you an estimate, a puff printed hoodie, like in PacSun, usually right now in this economy goes for like about $50. But I'm about to bump the price because I gotta eat, and I ain't gonna lie, I like eating. I'm a skinny lad, but I like to eat. But
I got you.
Most of the time, when I first put it in and like produce like a whole bunch, it cost me roughly around. First it cost me $800. I think it's double that now because they do good work, but the stitching sometimes it takes a while, and on top of that, it's a lot of work just to do. But more so, I don't really do it to make money. Do it for the brand. I make my money off of the brand another way though. That's a more interesting story.
You want to get into it?
Sure. I mean,
okay.
So one thing that I've been doing at the start, even I think you might have seen it in. Do you know somebody by the name of Jay?
J-A-Y.
Jay got kicks. He did like a tournament in Chicago.
I was watching the video that you did with him. The promo video, the how do you stay cozy. So I know him through that.
So on the side with my actual business, I run a customs and like a clothing vending site. So I can actually make custom clothing for like a small cost. But this time I actually want a custom cozy season hoodie. More often than not, that's how I try to bring like the losses I get from my brand because so a lot of people like I've learned they actually like custom clothing. So I take the time and either outsource it or get an embroidery machine to do it myself.
Hold on, Wes, because I feel like, what is this website called? I want to. Do you mind putting it out there?
Not right now because I'm trying to refurbish it. But if you want customs, just DM the page. We accept customs on a rolling basis. I'm setting up the AI assistant actually today because it'll tell you, do you have a custom? Do you have an order for that? But yeah.
Okay, please resume. I'm like, hold on, I need to look at this website. But okay. But it's in process, y'all.
It's still in process because I'm still adapting the portfolio. Like, for example, from one of the custom orders I did lanyards, a couple of hoodies. Next, I think I'm going to try and do choir robes. I just have to figure out. how to like put it over the embroidery machine. But other than that, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so I didn't want to cut you off, but you caught me off guard with that. So you do make money, so you kind of balance out the losses with your custom services.
Yeah. I first I had to I had to make a tough call and decide. I had to cut one of my businesses because I had a prior business before I got back into apparel, and I decided do I want to fund this one or this one. So I sold the machines for the other one and put the money back into my business. It's a tough call, but hey, well, it's all or nothing.
Got you. Okay. Um, and a lot of decisions have to be made. A lot of decisions have to be made because you're the boss. You know, you're the Don Dada. You know,
Huh.
so you talked about the bubble. I don't know, the bubble
Bubble
print.
letter.
Yeah, the bubble lettering, things like that. Because I do like the cozy season stuff. As I'm looking at, you know, some of the pieces on my other screen here, um, the stay cozy stuff. Like I like the look. I like what you got going on. So, how did you come up with this? Who played a part in creating this? If you didn't do this alone, tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, it's never alone. I never can say, "Oh, I thought of this on my own." No, if I can say one thing that I can always be grateful for is for my giant circle of friends and people I've met throughout my ages. I've already listed so many, but there are so many on this list. I can say, this is them, all my beautiful followers and stuff. But
Hmm.
one of the things that I've learned is that uniquely, this thing was essentially themed mainly around as Tyler the Creator's inspiration. I love golf. I don't love their prices. And it's
Gotcha.
not a bad thing to say. He kind of spoke to me. He said in this one quote where he said, "Hey, everybody's going to judge you. You might as well do it." So more often than not, I'm going to be doing more unique pieces this spring and summer. In fact, I actually have the two names of the two, what's it called? Not launches, but like actual collections that I'm going to be doing. But they're going to be, well, actually, all three. There are three. So there's one for the fall before I re release the restock. But it's a lot of cinematics, trailers, and stuff. I even got an animation pin. So that's going to be fun too.
Okay. And I see now.
Oh, one more thing.
Go ahead.
And a pop up shop. You're more than welcome to come as a guest of honor, by the way.
Absolutely. Well, since you're in Baltimore, I know we by the way, for those who are listening, we've been planning this interview for like forever. Yeah, and and it's between his schedule and my schedule, it just didn't work out. It's December 2nd today. I'm not sure when this is going to come out. Probably within the next couple weeks, but yeah, this has been in the making for a very long time. But and at the time I believe there was like it might have been an opportunity to come out there, but I was not in the position. If you have a pop-up shop, since you're only in Baltimore now, early top of this year, we went to, I think it was Pasadena for a wedding. You know, you're not that far away. You know, you're a little
I'm a,
you're
it's still,
sorry.
I'm still debating because I want to see if I can collab with another brand. Shout out Kurt. Sorry. It's bad idea. But he also did his first pop up shop, and I was going to see if I could collab with him. But more often than not, either I was going to see if I can work it out at either New York and have somebody else. He's doing his own stuff right now because shout out Peas. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry, but
Shout them out.
but more often than not, it's going to be in DC or around Baltimore because there's a studio that I'm going to be doing most of my shoots from called Sony Studios, and they have their own separate event space that I might just buy out and have a couple of vendors. So if you know anybody that does books, clothing, or anything of the other sort, I'm going to be like essentially around January, around the midway point when I'm completely free. I'm going to be interviewing people, say, "Hey, this is for vendor space," and stuff like that. And mainly the goal is there's going to be a jar there too. It's going to be fully like you can voluntary, but you can give a donation. The donation doesn't go back to me, doesn't go back to anybody else, but we're going to be giving it back to a local school in Baltimore to help them get like coats and stuff they need for school to get them started. It'll be like a little, not so much a drive, but essentially every clothing you buy at my store, it'll be like $5 back to the foundation. I'm trying to raise at least five, maybe 6K.
Gotcha. They're gonna make a movie about you.
Oh, don't gas my head up like that.
What's that movie? Not it's not like a complete comparison or equivalent comparison. What's that movie with Hilary Swank? You know what I'm talking about. I feel like you know what
I
I'm
think I
talking
know
about.
the movie you're talking about.
They're gonna make a movie about you,
Um,
supplying resources to the kids. But anyway,
Hey,
um,
that was the motive. I never. It's not so much that like I didn't. I knew I'm gonna make money off of this, but the goal isn't to essentially just make money off of it. Like I mean, I got my degree to feed me, and my other side hustle, which is real estate. I do it on the side. It's a side thing. So before y'all be like, no, but the goal of this brand was to never really make money. It was to really just express myself and to give back. Because I mean, I can make money off of anything if I wanted to. Why should I make money off of something I could actually make life better for others for?
yeah, I like the pure intentions. So I don't even remember what we were talking about. We were talking about the text on the shirts and
Oh
everything.
yeah, the bubble
Um,
letters, the bubble letters.
the bubble lettering. So the decision making that went into some of these things. But since I can't remember completely right now, I have another question for you anyway.
Hit
So
me.
um, when it comes to getting your brand out there, we have a potential pop-up shop that's going to be happening within the next year or so. So that's a way to get your brand out there. It seems like you have some popular friends with large followings,
Oh
right?
man, you have no idea. The one thing my friends always say to me is, "Wes, you have like friends on top of friends on top of friends." I'm like, "Yeah." They'd be like, "Wes, don't you know a guy?" I was like, "Yeah." But shoot, I guess this is gonna be me just shouting people out like at rapid speed. So for starters, I have a whole bunch of influencer friends or just people I know that are influencers. Like, let's see here. Let's go down the list. I got my friend Julian, cinematic masterpiece, makes really good work. If you want to go see his work, you can go right on my page. He made the trailer for me. Wonderful stuff. I have another friend Tessa. She takes really good photos, blows up overnight. Who else? I have a friend that lives in Berlin. She's gonna be borrowing some of my clothing and taking it to all of her Berlin games. I have a friend in Indiana. He actually shoots hoops, I think, professionally for college. So I'm gonna reach out to him, see how he's doing. Essentially, I just use the connections I got. Even got fortunate to be on here to even shout out my brand here. Appreciate it, man.
I'm a little dog. I'm not there yet.
Hey
If
man.
I if I had something to offer, then I'd start, charging people. If I really believed I had something to offer, I'm not there yet. So,
No, no, no.
if
We
you have a
go.
brand,
Have me on as a guest again. We'll bring some more people. We're gonna gas this up. Got it, everybody. Oh wait,
everybody.
but there
So
was
go
one more
ahead.
person too.
Hmm.
And I have a friend. She actually plays professional tennis for our school right now, getting her master's. She actually featured me on another podcast because
Oh, that's right.
yeah, she
Go ahead. Sorry
actually
though.
no, but she featured me on for a different aspect because she wanted to talk about my brand, but she wanted to talk about the actual mental health portion of it.
Hmm.
Because for a small portion to actually make this stuff, I was stuck in my room dying. Oof. Like no lies. Working on your favorite pieces is good and being a creative is wonderful stuff. But to put in the wise words of, oh, shout out Jai. I'm sorry. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of everybody. Gotta be a Rays fan. But he told me the best words to say is when you really like something or you're a creative or you're doing your thing, you're gonna have those dark days. And they're gonna come 60 different times when you least expect it because you can make something and like it, and then the next day you're gonna hate it. And then
Hmm.
you could have a whole lot of family issues. Like my grandma, she's not doing the best right now. And there's a lot of stuff going on just in between that. But you're going to, essentially, when you're the boss, you got to make the tough calls. And it may work out, it may not.
You sure do. So, remember, hold on to those thoughts because we're going to get into that a little bit later on some of the pros and cons, the toll that it takes on you, so on and so forth. Um, so I noticed here there was some sort of fashion show. Um,
Yes.
now, can you give us a little bit of intel on this for me, who just came along within the past year?
Whew.
Um, what was this like?
Um, I can say this now, and I'll say this with an honest heart. Your boy has a very bad habit of procrastination. I'm not gonna sit up here and sugarcoat and be like, I did everything completely right now. My team was literally flaming me from six a.m. to 6 p.m. because man, to put this in perspective, you've been to college before. You've at least, or you've had heard stories about college, right?
Yeah, I went to a trade school, so
Oh,
no
you
college for me.
okay. So to put this in perspective, November is the worst month for any college student ever. Hated this November, hated last November, but anyways. So springtime, like the reason we hate November and like any type of like April is because of finals. And at that time, I was taking a 5 to 6 course load. I was having horrible acne, and I lost literally 10 pounds because I was fighting something that was not really like well for me. I was going through like a horrible sickness, like horrible stomach. On top of that, I had this, and literally, if it was not for for my buddy Tay and Sean, I would literally be cooked because it took a
Wow.
lot of work to get everybody styled up. Whew. And then on top of that,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, just getting everybody. Everybody has personalities too, and you got to run everything. And then on top of that, my other friend, she was like, "You're taking forever." Da, 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 da. And I can be honest. I was not pulling all the weight I needed, and I was tired. Oof, I was
Hmm.
exhausted, but
Yeah.
I got it done. Made it
It,
through, just barely, but I got there.
it's a lot to deal with. It. Running an event, there's a reason why, I myself don't come up with too many, like, gatherings. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Like a gathering on like a small scale. A fashion show. Was this your fashion show for
Oh no,
oh,
I was just the designer.
okay.
I
Okay.
the oof, I can tell you about a event I've planned. The fashion show itself, just designing was stressful. I don't even
Hmm.
want to get into how the host felt. That was so much, but I can get into an event I did plan though.
Let's talk about it.
So, start of college, like around 2021 ish, when that summer, I was an intern for Johns Hopkins, and we did a Black Business Expo where we reached out to different other like Black businesses in the area, and we did something. Oh, shout out Auntie Alicia. Sorry, but anyways, but she helped us to put together two a brand. Basically, is there's a news article about us in WBAL. They said it's the brainchild between two college students, my colleague Keon and I, we made this whole pop up shop in Baltimore to raise revenue to essentially get all these Black businesses on the map so that they can know news, stuff like that. And it was a lot of work. That was a lot of work in of itself, just because you had to deal with personality. You had to deal with people canceling. When people cancel, they don't pay money back, so you lose money. Then you got to go collect money, and nobody likes to be the debt collector to these people because people like to hold tight fist. And then on top of that, you also got to be the host of it. You got to walk around, make sure people aren't doing nothing bad. Got to make sure stuff is funded, people are eating. And then on top of that, you got to balance what you're doing. Because that was like a whole summer. Like
Hmm.
one small sliver, I couldn't even go. I couldn't even go to DC. That's how much work it was. But it was fun,
Hmm.
fun time.
So you have some planning experience. You have some experience with that. So, creating a pop up shop or collaborating on a pop up shop, it's still going to be difficult, but you do know what to expect in some aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, getting your brand out there, we have the influencer friends. You got the homies. You're planning the pop up shop. Now you went to this basketball tournament, and you mentioned this person before. You made a custom hoodie for them that in collaboration with your brand now, and you also did like a video, how do you stay cozy. I was watching your video from the basketball tournament in Chicago. Now were you in this were you hooping there, or were you there to just kind of show love to the people but also promote your brand?
I was there to show love. At the time, I ain't really a hooper like that at the moment. I mean, my friends would be like, they would literally come on this podcast and say he's not a hooper. Don't mess with him. I'm just kidding. But I'll get back into it later because at the time I kind of was like, let me do this for the business, get that rolling, meet my friends, see how they're doing. Our
Hmm.
home team got smoked. I will say that. I am a strong believer in hating on Michigan. I don't care what anyone says. But yeah, I wouldn't lie. We got smoked 40. I was like, ugh.
Jeez.
But
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
it was a good time. Got to see my buddy Kai and Makai. Shout out them. But anyway, yeah, good time.
Yeah. And getting your stuff out there now, were all these people in the video people that you knew personally?
Weirdly enough, yeah, I knew everybody except Jay because that was the first time I met him, like in person.
Okay.
Everybody else I knew semi personally. Like let's see, Angie, she's a fashion icon. I know her very personally. She's really good. She's in fact, I think either I'm going to ship her some of my clothing and she'll probably wear it. Desi, he has his own clothing brand too. He's really like you think I be dressing, you got to see him.
Yeah, that was the dude. I'm like, he's just too
No,
cool.
no, no, no. That's like a basic Sunday afternoon fit for him. He puts together even crazier stuff. And then yeah, everybody else I know in there personally too.
Gotcha. Okay, and where do you want to go next in terms of like promotion? Because I believe, me personally, I believe promotion is difficult. Appealing to a demographic, especially in an, I would call, an oversaturated market. You know, everybody raps, everybody makes music, everybody wants to create a clothing line, everybody has a podcast. But to make yours stick out, you have to come up with some good stuff. You can have a good product, but if nobody hears about it, it's is anybody going to see it? So how do you what do you look into, what do you try to do when it comes to promotion? Because these are just some things: the pop-up shop, the reel/TikTok. What else? What do you look forward to doing to promote the brand some more?
So wait, are you a fan of Kanye by chance? I had to ask before
Absolutely.
okay, so there's a you like a huge fan or like are you just like a base level before I get into this?
I've been listening to, he dropped his first album when I was in fourth grade, and I haven't missed a beat except Jesus is King. I didn't listen to that.
I didn't like it,
Um,
but
I didn't even bother. But
I
everything else,
touched it for 5 seconds, put it out. But here's the point. So the very first album he ever made was the most unique thing I've ever heard. But he said he spent his summer, 6 summers, locked in a room trying to cook up something. But the interesting thing about it is that there's an interesting side term, essentially like where we can avoid doing stuff. But I guess the best way to put it to really make myself stand out is to give it a different aesthetic. Not that I'm going to consistently change what I'm doing or doing whatever, but to me, three things that I'm doing that are different is well, giving back, changing what I do, but also uniquer terms. Like one of the ways that I'm going to actually blow my brand out there is something called it's sort of like it's like tagging, essentially where I get like a sticker and I tag it all around DC and I record myself doing it. It's not illegal before y'all say anything. It is legal, but a lot of the times it's just finding new ways to do it. Like Pinterest was one of the weirdest ways I never thought I would do for advertising. That and TikTok. I stayed away from TikTok for two reasons. One, they don't monetize unless you have enough followers. I'm like, you know what, whatever. So I did it. I got into it. But there are other ways too. Like a lot of the ways that I think I'm going to actually promote myself is either me giving back or me doing customs is a weird way that I'm doing it. Like I have a custom for my friend Maddie. Shout out Matt. Anyways, but I have a custom that I'm making for him before he gets married. Don't tell him what to gift though. But I know he probably will watch this podcast, but don't tell him. But
secret safe with me.
yes. And the 1,000 viewers too. Don't tell him. But I'm gonna make him mainly. I'm gonna blow up either through customs or just small little collaborations. Like the studio in Baltimore is actually at one point it was gonna shut down, so I hope to collaborate with them. Hopefully, blow them up as well. Hopefully, they blow me up as well too. But also collaborating with like weirdly enough, one thing I learned too is that a lot of different brands they don't like small creators. They really like. It's not me being ignorant, but it's the fact. A lot of them
Facts.
don't really like them. Me, I love them. If you take pictures, you're a model. Please hit my DMs. I am looking for new models. If you have a podcast, call feature me. I'm here to really promote everybody. I'm not here just to grow myself. I'm here to grow everybody else as well too. If I'm gonna eat, everybody gotta eat. So gotta have everybody at least on the same board. But yeah, make it work.
Everybody eats, B. All right.
Yep. I see what you did there.
So, what's next? So, we kind of talked about it though. We kind of talked about it though. With the potential pop up shop. What's next for the brand?
Well,
And yeah, we kind of got a good overview, but I got to ask my formal question. What's next?
for me and for the brand, other than releasing like I got six launches planned out. One of them is a pop up, one's a giveaway, one's sort of like a give back. Like for example, the school that I'm going to be sponsoring for the majority of next year, they're doing a what's it called? It's not a giveaway. It's like a market, like a New Year's market. And I'm gonna sponsor them, help them with their fundraising stuff like that, help them out. But more than just connecting with the community, more often, 2024 is going to be the year of community-based events. The pop-up will just be one, but I'm going to do some more for the community, like a block party or like a fish fry. But other than that, I'm going to try to base some sales, do a couple more like type of gifts and stuff like that. One other community thing I'm going to do is a Y2K party. It's not going to be too big. It's going to be like small. And another thing I want to do is like get it big enough to where I can start to hire people. Like I kind of want to actually make it something bigger. Either see if I can get it in a store or if I can get PacSun to pick it up, something like that. But I low key want to start doing prints, like actual art prints, something
Okay.
new.
Yeah, yeah. You are a jack of all trades. Yeah, you got your hands your young
Oh,
octopus, you know?
one
You
more thing I do want to get is if I can't get a store, at least get like a studio and sell the
hmm
clothes out of the studio as well too. But we'll see because there's a like mainly the one thing I'm trying to focus on is getting out of school because there's
hmm
two things that are lined up for me as soon as I get out of school. I don't know, but I may see if I can actually move. I kind of want to try moving, but we'll see how I feel about it.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, stack up some bread.
Yeah,
stay home a little bit longer. Stack it all
I'm
up.
trying.
But
I'm trying.
yeah. So, oh, okay. And so we have a lot to look forward to. You have your hands in many things. That's why I threw in the octopus thing. You're just all over the place with stuff, occupying your time. So, the last thing that I want to ask about, and I asked you to hold on to the thought, was the ups and downs, the pros and cons of creating, because it's not easy.
Whew.
So let's talk about, you can pick the pros first and then the cons. What are the ups and downs that you went through with this?
Uh, Pro, it's a lot of fun. You get to make a lot of fun stuff. Cons, you make no money. This is something you're gonna pour a mess load of money into and not see anything. Another pro, you help the community. If you really on your P's and Q's, people are gonna see it and they're gonna like it. Cons, people are also not gonna look at it. And it's not me being ignorant. It's there's a lot of people that look at your stuff but won't buy it. It's not to say that it's a bad thing or to say people are haters. No, no, no. I'm not gonna feature that. People are just busy with themselves, and it's not to say that they can't give you a little bit of time. But people, they be having lives. I be having a life,
Facts.
and it'd be hard just to support people as is. So the best I can do sometimes is either cop a little piece of clothing or repost. But sometimes people aren't gonna really see it. Pro, you're gonna have a lot of fun doing this. Con, your mental health is gonna suck. Like,
Mhm.
oof. Like having a brand is fun. It's fun. It's so much fun. Con, it's gonna take a lot on your mental health. And I'm gonna say this: if I am an advocate for therapy, it's never been a not advocate for therapy. And I'm always gonna advocate. Go get a therapist if you need one. Talk to your friends. Do whatever. But this stuff, it's a lot of work, and sometimes you can really take yourself a little too seriously. And it's not me being ignorant. Sometimes business can you can really take it too seriously. But have fun. It's not to say that you're not gonna have those moments where you gotta lock in and really get stuff done, but there are
Yeah.
gonna be moments where you take it like it's like life or death. And then I realize I sit up here like just sitting in my couch like I didn't need to do that. Never mind.
So the mental health aspect. Um, if I understand correctly, there's a potential connection. Is it the mental health field? Like, you'll have to explain this to me to get a better understanding. The connection between your brand and mental health.
Okay. This connection you're gonna lock in for me. So my
All
friend
right, let me.
Abby, she's currently a NAMI voice. And one of the things I've been trying to do is at least become a voice myself because while I'm in school, I'm on like a dozen mental health alliances, like almost a billion. I'm like, psychology is my favorite thing, and I love advocating for people having good mental health. So I was thinking to myself, hey, there's got to be some way my brain can advocate to either at least give back or at least do something that advocates for mental health. And well, I'm planning it, but it's kind of slowly coming together. And one of the drops, it's out of the six I mentioned, one of them is a mental health drop that says, um, please excuse me for being absent. Essentially, because it's not so much that people can be absent minded, but when you have like really bad mental health, you're just not there. that was my whole thing about it because I had like a 3 month stunt with depression where I didn't get anything done. Like, oof, it was so bad. I at one point like could not eat for like 4 weeks on end. I was feeling terrible, and I like you see how I'm like this one healthy 175. I was 195, dropped back down to 165. I was feeling terrible.
All right, what was going on? And now clearly, I can probably take a guess. I can probably take a guess because just from how busy you seem to be. What was going on, if you don't mind opening up about that, in that 3 month stint?
It was more so just a lot of so it was a lot of school. School was the main focus because at the time I was like it was kind of like if I drop this scholarship, I'm not going to be able to pay for my stuff. It was a lot of not so much like bonds with people were breaking, but it was a lot of it was a lot of issues just with people. Sometimes I clashed with people. Other times I was straight up. I know I'm in the wrong. I sometimes yelled at people, and I was very wrong for that. And there are some times where I just was honest in all God honest opinion. I didn't know how to really respond to people. And dealing with your emotions just in your 20s is a lot because sometimes you understand them, other times not so much. And then on top of that, there's, got to pay my own regular, like smaller little bills like cars and stuff. Whew, it was just a lot just to deal with in that 3 month span that I got extremely burnt out to the point where I just was like, leave me alone. And I kind of just slept in for a time being.
Where are you at today? Are you
On a scale of 1 to 10? Okay.
Yeah.
Before I got into the podcast, I shaved, made sure I was all ready for my meeting, did all the good stuff I need to do. And I'm feeling better because a lot of the times I've been, realistically, if I must be honest, I've been better since yesterday. Because it's not so much I was going through like a mental health episode. It was just like in the final part of my school, they require us to do a portfolio of our work. And I'm still compiling it. And it kind of just is, oof. It's not a bad thing, but it's just, I know I'm going to have it done before the spring. But I just want to get all the work done now so I can relax later. Like, one of my goals is to at least get my hands on something like some property just so I can have some extradited money that I can have to stack my bread. Mm-hmm. I mean, college is stressful as is, but living your life can be even more stressful because on top of that, my grandmother, so to put this just a little quick story time, before the 3 month period, we visited her like roughly once or twice a month. Now it feels like almost every day we got to visit her because her health's getting really bad. So it's kind of a lot.
Okay. I guess what's going through my mind is, I know how, many people have experienced loss, and you bringing up your grandmother a couple times. The impression that I get is that this isn't just like a grandparent that you didn't see in life. This seems like somebody who was actively a part of your life.
Oh yeah. Grandmother is, well, my mom and my grandma are my biggest fans whenever I'm doing something. They saw me graduate high school. Perfectly, they're going to see me graduate college with all my junk and everything in hand. And they've seen me through almost all of my ups, my downs, my lefts, my rights, my everywhere. They've seen me through basically the best of times, the worst of times. They've taken care of me. And my grandmother is very special to me. Even though me and her will not always see eye to eye every day. But my grandma is still my heart and my everything. I love my grandma, Pat. I even named my car after her. Pat.
Shout out the grandma, man. And you know what? I can, me and my grandma, she died.
I'm sorry for your
20. Oh, well, thank you. She died in 2014, but I can relate to having a relationship with your grandmother to the point where you two cannot see eye to eye. And there's a special bond there. Me and Nana got into it a couple times, but I love that woman. I love her. I love her. So how about this? Because let's talk about grandma. Not too much. It's not like I want you to put all your business out there, but you talked about her and your mother, of course, being support systems. Let's just end this off on a positive grandma note.
Got it.
Give me your favorite grandma experience
I think
that you can share.
One thing that I didn't realize I enjoyed so much is just spending time with her. As I got older, it's not so much I shunned from it, but when I was in high school, I was doing 60 different things and I was going through my own different struggles. But now that I'm in college, I actually enjoy the time I take to just spend time with her, just watch a movie with her. Like just the other day, we actually sat down and watched the Batman, like full. Even though I got like 60 questions in between, I was like, I had to pause and explain that, and pause, explain that. But just spending time with her is always enjoyable. Taking her for a ride sometimes is enjoyable. Because my grandma is very much a very good person. She always remembers all my friends, Donovan, Jay, all of them. And she remembers back in the day when they just either came back to visit or she heard them on the phone and she laughed. It was nice stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, um, shout out to grandma. Shout out to grandma. Shout out to your mom. Shout out to your support system. You know, we can't do this alone, y'all. We may seem like the strongest sometimes, and it seems like when I listen to you talk, you know, it takes a certain individual, it takes a certain willed individual to have their hands in so many things, especially with school. I did not go to a community college, a 4-year college, a 6-year college, but I understand how much work it is. I can't fully relate. I can't fully understand, but I know it's a full-time thing.
Man,
Um,
it's man, it's learning law is fun. Shout out KP for telling me about law school and everything, but I'm not doing it. I may go back for my master's if it's paid for, but school in of itself is a lot. But hey, man, I got like 4 more months and I'm done, and it's party time. That's all I'm gonna say.
Party time. Don Dada Apparel. Follow them on Instagram. I'm looking for. Excuse me. Looking forward to the next drop.
Oh, you better look forward to all 3. Got to pre-order.
Yeah, pre-order. Look forward to the next drop. Look forward to the potential pop-up shop. DC is about 4 hours and some change away. Not that bad. So you know, we might link up in the future. So,
yes, sir, we love it.
So it'll be nice to meet you. You seem like you got a good head on your shoulders. Any last minute shout outs, any things that you just wanted to mention?
All right, I gotta go quick. This one. All right, let's see. Shout out Jay. Shout out my boy Jay from Queens. Shout out my boy Jay from Ohio. Shout out my boy Jay from Houston. Shout out my man Cam from New York. Shout out Jairus. Shout out little Ava Lee. Shout out Kenya. Okay, all right, what else? Shout out freaking shit. I already said shout out CeeLo. Shout out my whole group in New York. Shout out Nick. Shout out Jordan. Shout out all of them. Shout out all my friends everywhere, and love everybody. Support Don Dada Apparel and stay cozy.
Cool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with. Wesley, thank you.
Of course, no problem, man.